Aloha, this is David Buck with Christie's International Real Estate here in Aspen, Colorado. And today we're going to cover the market stats for October of 2025. And we're going to be covering everything in the Roaring Fork Valley from Aspen all the way down to Glenwood Springs. And like I've been doing in the last several months, covering it in alphabetical order with Aspen first, and then we'll wrap up with Woody Creek. All right, let's dive into it. First off, we're going to cover home sales here in Aspen, and home sales were basically flat. A year ago, there were 7 deals in October, and this past month we saw 7 as well. However, that median sales price dropped 17.9%. That was going from $14 million a year ago to $11.5 million this past month. As far as condos go in Aspen, sales were actually up 80%, going from 5 transactions a year ago to 9 this past month. However, that median sales price dropped 45.3%, going from 5.8 million last year to $3,175,000. Okay, next up, we're going to cover Basalt. Home sales were also flat in Basalt, going from 4 deals a year ago to 4 this past month with no change. However, the median sales price was just up an inkling of 0.2%, going from 2,825,000 to 2,830,000 this past month. Meanwhile, condo sales in Basalt were actually up 50%, going from 6 transactions to 9. And then as far as the median condo price goes in Basalt, it jumped significantly, up 65.7% from 1,297,500 to $2,150,000 this past month. Okay, now let's dive into Carbondale. Well, deja vu, home sales in Carbondale were also flat, going from a dozen transactions a year ago to just another 12 this past month, with no change whatsoever. However, that median home price was down 6.8%. A year ago, it was at 1,887,500, and this past month was down to $1,759,000. Condo sales, on the other hand, in Carbondale were up 200%, going from 2 transactions a year ago to 6 this past month. And that median condo price was down 28.6%, going from $1,425,000 to $1,017,500. Now we're going to shoot all the way down valley and cover Glenwood Springs. All right, well, Glenwood Springs was the first neighborhood so far to see an increase in home sales. There were 13 this past month compared to 8 a year ago. That's a 62.5% increase. However, the median home price in Glenwood Springs dropped 23.2%. A year ago was at 1,198,000, and this past month was at 920,000. As far as condos go, we saw a drop in Glenwood Springs, going down 37.5%. A year ago, there were 8 deals, and this past month we saw 5. That median sales price also saw a dip of 28.4%. A year ago, we're at 550,250, and this past month we're at $394,000. Now let's check out Missouri Heights. Home sales in Missouri Heights were up 200%. A year ago, there was 1 transaction, and this past month we saw 3. And that median home price also increased 3.5%. A year ago is at $1,695,000, and this past month is at $1,755,000. And once again, there were no condo deals that took place in Missouri Heights. Now we're going to cover Old Snowmass. Old Snowmass saw home sales drop 33.3%, going from 3 deals a year ago to 2 this past month. However, that median home price in Old Snowmass was up 399.4%. A year ago it was just at 2,828,125, and then it jumped all the way up to $14,125,000 this past month. So that's definitely the biggest outlier we've seen thus far for October, is that median home price in Old Snowmass. There were no condo sales that took place. A year ago, there was 1, but nothing that took place this past month in Old Snowmass. Now let's head over to Snowmass Village. Snowmass Village saw home sales drop 75%, going from 4 transactions a year ago to just 1 this past month. And also, we saw a drop in that median home price, which is down 49.2%, going from $8,850,000 a year ago to $4.5 million this past month. Meanwhile, as far as condos go, sales dropped even further, which were down 88%. A year ago, there's 50 condo sales in Snowmass Village, and we only saw 6 this past month. And we also saw a drop in the median condo price in Snowmass Village, going from 4,358,125 to 2,837,500. That's a 34.9% drop in median condo price. Now for our final category, which is Woody Creek. Okay, we have one more neighborhood that saw zero change in home sales, which is Woody Creek. There was one sale a year ago, and we saw one this past month. However, that median home price at Woody Creek dropped 29%. A year ago is at 22,875,000, and it was down to 16,250,000 this past month. And once again, no condo or townhome sales that took place in Woody Creek. So if you have questions about any of the neighborhoods that we covered today, from Aspen all the way down to Glenwood Springs here in the Roaring Fork Valley, feel free to reach out and give me a call at 808 371 3509. Aloha.